Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, everybody. We've worked through the day, we've been at our desks, at our phones, and this energy is good. So, can we have a big round of applause for yourselves? And having said that, I've got a strange request from the hotel. They say that, everybody over here has to be friends. There should be no strangers. But if you look around, I'm sure that you will spy some strangers in the audience. So we're going to rectify the situation. And the best way of getting rid of strangers is by making them our friends. All right? So we're going to spend 3 minutes, exactly 3 minutes, in which everybody's got to stand, move around, spend about 15 seconds with each person, and then we will come back to our seats, and then we will inform the hotel that we have, done whatever they required. All right? Are we good to go? Yeah? Okay. So can we please stand up and start moving around? If you don't have a visiting card, that's perfectly fine. You can exchange numbers because not many people carry visiting cards nowadays. So exchange numbers or your digital card, whatever. So we've got 3 minutes, 180 seconds. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin. Are you ready? Once again, good evening, everybody. See, such a big difference when we are among friends. All right, I've got 2 seats over here. So any delegates still at the back, may I request you to please come up in front? I've got 2, somebody sitting here? Okay, so I've got, okay, occupied, fully occupied, that's a full house. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Everest Rodriguez. And a very good evening to all of you. On behalf of ET Brand Equity, Adobe, and TCS Interactive, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to Experience Matters, winning customer loyalty with personalization. The BFSI sector in India is embracing digital transformation to keep pace with the rapidly changing consumer behaviors and expectations. The Indian fintech market is expected to reach $1 trillion by 2030, as said by the chief economic advisor recently. The BFSI segment engages millions of customers across InsurTech, InvestTech, FinTech, and many other areas, and digital is enabling brands to reach larger audiences. In today's environment, the brands have to make sure that they treat each customer as an individual with their own expectations and add a touch of humanity to each and every interaction. This is where the bar is set for customer experiences today. Today, at Experience Matters, winning customer loyalty with personalization, co-organized by ET Brand Equity, Adobe, and TCS, we will look at how these pioneers are reimagining customer experience and pushing the threshold for customer success. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, to decode the brand's efforts into building these delightful experiences. Allow me to inform you that as you attend the event, don't forget to share your networking moments on social media using our official hashtag Experience Matters. You can also catch the live updates on @ET Brand Equity official social media handles. With that, ladies and gentlemen, to set the tone for today's evening, we would like to invite on stage Mr. Abhishek Kumar, Associate Research Director, Financial Insights, IDC, for an insightful keynote address on building brand experience with omni-channel approach. Abhishek heads the Financial Services Industry Market Intelligence Research Program. He has spent over 15 years working in digital transformation, financial and fintech industries. His experience includes working at global financial institutions such as Standard Chartered Bank. So, ladies and gentlemen, please get your hands together as we welcome on stage Mr. Abhishek Kumar.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am so happy to be here today amongst this prestigious crowd, and I'm looking forward to the panel that's coming up with our esteemed panelists as well. They are all sitting up here. So I've had the pleasure, or not, of taking part in a lot of digital transformation initiatives along financial institutions, other industries. And I know how painful it can be at the end of the day when you come home and you're tired which is why I'm going to make sure that tonight we're going to do it slightly different. Yes, we're going to be enlightened, but we're also going to try and have a good time while we're doing it, all right? Because my approach to public speaking is quite relaxed. I'm not going to have a table of contents or anything like that. But don't worry, I will have slides and figures and graphs for those of you who need it. But ultimately tonight, I'm going to be telling you a story, and we'll be talking about the story of customer centricity, where it's been, where it's going, what are the trends, and how this one little word, hyper-personalization, has started to come and take over the industry, okay? So why don't we jump right into it? And like all good stories, we will start at the beginning. Customer breadth. So it always starts with the customer, right? So in the beginning, the banks had a branch. I want to use a bank example here. You have your branch. They start some basic products, and there's people out there who want those products. Fantastic, works. Now let's add some more branches. Let's get some tellers in there, and then we'll add online, mobile, credit cards, what have you. Fantastic. And suddenly you start getting more customers. Great. But that only goes to a certain extent. And then you're thinking, oh, you know what? There's a lot of competition in the market now. Our customer acquisition rates are dropping. Me and my competitor, we kind of have the same kind of products. So we need to do something different. Why don't we, instead of breadth, start looking at depth, right? So what happens here is that suddenly it is much more information and advisory. Information heavy advisory stuff. Oh, you can't really read that. It says cross-sell, upsell. Of course, we're looking at wealth management products. You're talking about customized loans, FX, maybe even crypto, but you're talking to the users. So the difference, and this part here is where the birth of modern customer centricity happens, right? Because at the top half over here, where you're talking about customer breadth, the banks are creating the product and the customers are coming to it. And the second half, where you're looking at depth, they're looking at the customer and then building the products around them. So, but of course, people here are saying, Abhi, that's nothing new. And you're telling me this thing, why do I have to care about this? Why now? Yes, of course, customers are important, blah, blah, blah. What is the big deal? Why do I need to look at this? What's the urgency, right? And the urgency, I kind of frame it in this way. Some people call them Gen Z, some people call them millennials. Actually, it's cross-generational now because it's a digital age. When you have a baby who has an iPad in their hands, right? So it is what I call generation now. Because no matter where you go at a financial institution, whether you're going to a branch, ATM, teller, phone banking, whether you're doing opening an account, or I want a loan, I want to do this cross-border transaction, I want it to happen now. It has to be instantaneous. It has to be real time because that's what I'm getting everywhere else. So why should I expect anything different from my financial services, right? And at this point, banks start to realize, oh, okay, it's actually going to be difficult to build loyalty, that's the magic word here, through traditional banking methods. And this customer centricity thing, okay, I'm on board now. I'm on board. Let's start thinking about what we need to do. And it's at this point where you find yourself on this mountain. And at the peak of the mountain is that perfect vision of customer centricity that you want your organization to have, where clients can get anything they want within reason, anything, anywhere, anytime, right? And that's the aim that you're going to do so that you can deliver and even try and deliver things to the client before they even know that they want it, if that's possible. So you're on this mountain and you could be at the bottom, you could be at the middle, maybe you're near the top. Regardless, it is overwhelming, it is daunting, it is difficult. And you're not going to be able to do it alone. You have to be strategic, you have to be prepared, and you have to have strong leadership that will support your initiatives. You'll have to have a solid team, and you need a good partner network, right? And even with those things, it's still going to be you doing it. And my mantra on this one is one step at a time. We got to do it one step at a time. So, I told you I'd have some graphs and numbers. So, let's look at what's happening in India. This is a survey that we did earlier this year for the BFSI sector. And we were looking at a variety of things. And of course, the top 3 initiatives that came out for the coming year is innovation, risk management, customer satisfaction. Nothing new, all right? And I've highlighted here some of the key numbers that we can look at. Now, if you look at the innovation side, you're going to see here a focus on cloud services, right? Because they want to be able to have the flexibility to scale and launch products quickly. And cloud helps you with that. Fine. Let's look at more on the right side with the customer satisfaction. The interesting thing here is it says 47% of the BFSI organization consider customer experience to be an essential element of trust. 47% is actually quite low for me. And I think this number is going to be much higher in the coming year. But below there, you can see some of the technologies that they're looking at: big data, data analytics, AI, again, cloud. And I'll be talking to you a little bit more about how that fits into this picture and how they use it. So digging a bit deeper into the customer-related strategic priorities. And this is an order of importance. I put the initiatives as well as the technologies that they're planning to use, right? Customer intelligence, I guess, again, you want to react quickly to changing customer needs. What are they using here? Machine learning, artificial intelligence, product innovation, API infrastructure, automation, some even said blockchain. Great. Omnichannel of products and services. I'll be talking a bit more about that. Customer-driven product and service innovation. This is what we're talking about here. So this is where we're looking at chatbots, digital platforms, IoT. And at the very bottom is hyper-personalized and targeted marketing and communication. And if you look at the tool set here, omnichannel architecture, data management tools, advanced analytics, it is by far the most tech-heavy initiative, which is why you can see why it's at the bottom, because it's the hardest to kick off. So nobody's jumping into this eager to do it, because it is the hardest, it's one of the hardest initiatives to do. But yet there it is. So let's look at AP. Take a step back and look at what's happening in Asia Pacific. It's actually quite similar. Omnichannel has come up. You're looking at seamless interaction across multiple channels, right? Banking as a service is an interesting one. Banking as a service, insurance as a service, software as a service. This is where you're looking at third-party service providers. So in Southeast Asia, for example, the ride-hailing services are doing interesting things because now they have the user base. Grab is the big one in Southeast Asia. And they're trying to provide micro-investment, micro-loans, and what have you, to the unbanked and underbanked. And in countries like Thailand, Philippines, they are partnering up with the public financial institutions to provide these. And the financial institutions are great because we are starting to hit our sustainability quotas, and at the same time, we are hitting a market which we didn't have before. And I think in India, you have one called Ola, which recently just acquired a neobank. So they're also getting into this space. These guys are interesting because they have a massive user base, and now they're leveraging them as expected. And where do financial institutions fit into this picture? Sometimes they don't. Again, that's the aim there is to have banking anywhere, anytime, right? And then at the bottom here, you have hyper-personalization. The aim of which is to build enriching and rewarding relationships with customers. And I'll be digging more, what does that actually mean? But ultimately, a lot of people see it as the magic bullet to building loyalty. And I'll be talking more about this in our panel with our panelists to see what's happening more in depth in India around this feature. But for Asia Pacific, for the region, our data shows that by next year, almost 80% of banks will be using some form of personalization, hyper-personalization as a key differentiator against their competitors to build loyalty. So you can see it's not going away there. Nope. Let's look at, very briefly, at some of the tech behind this that's allowed us to get to where we are today. You have, again, emergence of cloud. We've seen this before. The proliferation of devices, smart devices, wearable devices, data modernization and artificial intelligence. And again, those disruptors in the financial services industry, like those ride-hailing services. All of these guys together, all of these things together form an ecosystem that allows for the outcome of personalization or hyper-personalization. That's just from the tech side. So let's talk a little bit more about the tech side. Okay, financial institution, where do we start? And we always start on the data. It always starts with the data. So a financial institution may come to me and say, Abhi, what's the big deal? Look, I have right now a monolithic legacy core, which we are going to be, we're upgrading, will be upgrading, what have you. And all my data is in this core. So what's the big deal? Well, over the years, what you've done is you've added additional systems to this monolithic core. Mobile banking, loan origination systems, payments, and these things have their own records. And these things have their own records. And sometimes, so client A has an account, they have a mobile bank account, they've taken a loan. But each one of these 3 different records shows something different. Maybe it's a different address, maybe it's a different year of birth. And suddenly that illusion of a single source of truth is broken. Which one is the accurate one? Which record do I go with, right? And even if you are going through a core upgrade, even if you are going through a core upgrade where you're putting in a digital core to make things move faster, be more flexible, it doesn't solve that data problem. So what do we need to do? That's where customer data platforms, big data initiatives, all these come into place because you're looking for a persistent and unified customer database. Right? The data has to be pulled from multiple sources, it has to be cleaned, it has to be combined together, and you get a single source of truth, a single customer profile. That's what you need. And so, okay, so I'll do that. I mean, I'll get the CDP. How difficult can it be? Well, there are actually quite a few things that you need to look at from a data perspective. And previously, the guys who would do this were called data analysts. Now they're called data scientists, and it can get very complicated, right? So you have the data, you're cleaning the data, you're getting that all sorted out, great. But you need somewhere to store the data, to process it, to get that flexibility going. And if you don't want to do it in-house, you can do it on the cloud. So not surprisingly, these are India numbers. The investments in cloud for the BFSI sector here, public cloud, are forecasted to be at a CAGR of more than 24%. And I'm not going to spend too much time on these things. If I can get this thing working. All right. So once you're working on cleaning up your data, you have a place to store it, and you have a processing power to do it. What do we do with all this data? And that's when artificial intelligence comes in. And what we have up here is called the automated intelligence continuum, is what we call it. And it shows you from left to right what's happening in the industry. So you start off with robotic process automation. These are manual, repetitive tasks that a robot or a machine can do, right? And you're moving all the way across to self-learning systems, which are intelligent virtual agents that can intelligently act and make autonomous decisions. This is the ideal world that we're moving towards. It is not an easy process. I mean, you can see there's a lot of boxes in there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But you're going from tactical to transformational. And at this point, if you do all of these things, you have this ecosystem, right? You have your own ecosystem. So you have your customer data platform, your cloud services, your artificial intelligence. Each one of these can be an enterprise-wide transformational investment. So it may not make sense to do them piecemeal. Instead, you should be looking at all 3 of them simultaneously. And of course, deploying it is different. You need to prove it, use cases, test cases before you start to make any heavy level investments. But that's what we're looking at. So that's on the technology side, right? That's on the tech side. It's going backwards. Let's talk about the consumer side. What are we seeing on the consumer side? And again, we'll start at the beginning. Here's a couple of emails which I get regularly from, and I thought I shared with you guys. The one on the left here, very generic. So I think it's a t-shirt company. My name isn't on it. It's just something that they blast out, right? It is just something they send out to all clients. They don't care who it's tailored towards. It's not. is just saying there's a holiday sale, and if you're interested, come on board. If you're not, then whatever. Great. On the right is I think it's a food delivery service, which I left some years back. They're trying to, so this one, they have a goal. They want to get me back. Great. They have my name on there, and they spelled it right. Fantastic. And they've given me a little offer saying, hey, get a few bucks off if you come back. Of course, it doesn't cover, they haven't bothered to find out why I left. Bad service. And they probably don't have that information, right? So again, it is a step up, but still not enough to get me to come back. Okay, that's fine. The other thing that that happened after this was the development of personas, right? And I use this example. This is a very popular meme that's been going around on LinkedIn. So if you guys have seen it, I always share this one. Two personas that you can see, that can be in your database, each of them exactly the same. So the system will then treat them exactly the same, right? But if you look a little deeper, you'll find that they're two totally different people, right? Each one, these are not the same people. They have very different needs, very different demands, but based on their background, the system could treat them the same. So you need to bear in mind that personas are not people. So what I've shown you is the one size fits all, then the templated, they put my name in there. Then you have the customer segmentation side where they're trying to develop the personas. And now you're getting into like loyalty programs, which is much more personalized. But as soon as you start deploying things like real-time tracking, AI, ML-driven solutions, that's when you get into the hyper-personalization aspect. And from a customer perspective, you want to be able to do something. Remember when I said rewarding and enriching relationship? That works both ways. So as an example, the system has picked up that on the credit card side, one of your customers is spending a lot of money suddenly on furnitures, interior design, interior consulting. All of these kind of things are coming up. Indicators that, maybe they bought a new house. In some countries, you have public records. You can look that up, land records, what have you. You look it up, sure enough, this client has bought a house. But the mortgage was not with your bank. Okay, fine. Most mortgages, when they come out, they have a very short term, maybe 2, maybe 3 years, low interest rate, and then they pop up. So you're locked in for those few years before you can do anything. So fine, you then make a note, the system then makes a note saying in 2 years' time, I'm gonna reach out to this person and I'm gonna give them a mortgage rate, right? And see if I can entice them to come over to our side. In the meantime, because they're a credit card client, we'll give them cash back, some vouchers, etc., on furniture stores, etc., to help them celebrate the new house. Suddenly, it is a rewarding relationship, right? Because both of you are getting something out of it. It is a relationship. So, and it's not immediate. You're not getting an immediate return here. But in 2 years' time, there's a good expectation that if you are first, this client will give you their mortgage business. In return, you give them a better rate, and you provide them with some benefits on the side. Fantastic. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at, heading towards. So it is a difficult journey. And our research has shown that, look, the public banks especially are struggling with this because it's difficult for them to scale to their large consumer base, right? So your thing may be, well, Abhi, the stuff you've been talking about, that's me getting first-party data. That's me doing all the work, setting up all these things, and then getting the data and then looking through it. But Abhi, you also said, look, have a good partner network. So can't I do this through third parties? If I go on Google and I look for an umbrella, suddenly there's all these ads trying to sell me umbrellas. Isn't that kind of the same thing? It's kind of similar, right? So those are the cookies. Why can't we use those? It's a good point. Very good point. And some financial institutions are using these. But unfortunately, the truth is that at the end of the day, we are moving towards a cookieless world. Now, Apple, if you already have an Apple phone, they have consumer protection protocols on your phone that will block these kind of initiatives already. They're one of the first to start it. And Google has announced that their Chrome browser will stop supporting third-party cookies by the end of 2023. So third-party initiatives will be dying, and in fact, a lot of marketers, etc., have accepted this, and they are in fact moving away from it because first-party cookies will still be allowed. So first-party data will ultimately prevail. And where does that leave you? Back on the mountain. There are no shortcuts on this mountain. There are things you can do to temporarily delay the initiative, but there are no shortcuts. And again, you will have to do it one step at a time. But just bear in mind, you're not alone. There are people around who will help support you in this initiative. Again, strong leaders who are on your side. You need to have a solid team, and you need to have that solid partner network, because without these things, it's going to be a very difficult road where you will make mistakes, which will cost you money. So, on that very bright note, I want to thank you for your time, and we will be back up here for the panel later, and we can take questions then. Thank you. Sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Abhishek. We would like to invite Mr. Natarajan Bhaskaran, Global Head, DXP Business, TCS Interactive, to hand over a memento to Mr. Abhishek. Ladies and gentlemen, please get your hands together for Mr. Abhishek Kumar. And thank you very much, sir, for joining us today and setting the tone for the evening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Today, financial services organizations are tasked with balancing the modern convenience of digital experiences with the familiar touch of interpersonal interactions. A new approach is needed, one that addresses new market demands by taking personalization one step further. In our next session, let's unlock how personalization at scale is driving the next wave of customer experiences. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Sridhar Narayan, Head BFSI, Adobe India, for a keynote address on personalization at scale. Sridhar has been driving transformation across industry for over 2 decades, specifically in the banking industry for the last 5 years. He heads BFSI business for Adobe and manages CXO relationships across the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sridhar on stage.
I guess I'm audible? Yep. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So, can you guys hear me now? I guess people behind are not able to hear. Is this better? Deepak? Okay, good. So, let's make it a little interesting. Another day in the evening, so boring sessions. At the end of it, I would want to hear each one of your voice asking questions. If you guys ask me a tough question, which I'm not able to answer at the end of the session, you get one lifeline, which you can use it the way you want to with me, one-on-one. Right, Gaurav? Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. On that note, let's start. So, a lot of connotations to my friend Abhishek on, we have a very, very similar story lined up. So, let's start on similar lines. So, winning customer loyalty during this personalization or hyper-personalization, there are only 3 parts. What does personalization mean? What are the challenges we face today? How are we going to overcome? As simple as 3 parts that we will cover, right? The first one is, what does personalization mean at scale? This is a good time for us to analyze, I think, for some more time on before pandemic, post-pandemic situation, right? Next 1 year, we'll stop doing that because by the time we would have hit the new normal. Post-pandemic, almost 70+% of us have started using new service. As I think about it, right, we all can imagine what kind of new service we started using post-pandemic, right? All of us have got familiarized with our phones, with the apps and things like that, right? They're also beginning to reach out to us, and there's a lot of personalization which is happening by these guys. That's the first one. Second one is more than 35% of us outside of the phone pay, Google Pay, have started using some app or the other comfortably well, right? I can conveniently say that you subscribe to some new service which you started using it, right? That's the second statistic. Third one is, it's sad that only 50% of us realize that bank is more than a bank for us. It's a financial well-being partner, or insurance is more like a financial well-being partner. Because what did pandemic teach us? Pandemic taught us 3 things. One is
what is the money in the bank, what happens to my family if I leave, and my security, right? Those were three things, right? We should carry forward on those three things so that we don't get hit again with another pandemic whenever we get with another pandemic. So most of the financial services organizations, our expectations is on a high from them. We are at a peak of expectation from our respective financial services organization because of the fact that we would want our bank to do much more, or we would want our life insurance partner to do much more. That's where with every interaction, we are telling them that know me more, serve me well. I have been with you for such a long time, right? I have been with holding your account for the last 15 years, 20 years. This is what I get, right? Our expectations is on a high as individual consumers. So this is where banks as well as the financial organizations have a part to catch up. If I take a small example from what Abhishek said, what used to happen traditionally 15 years ago, people were setting up branches. How do you do at a branch level? You'll go ahead and find a right spot where people can comfortably park their vehicles, come to the branch. Then you'll put up the entire branch infrastructure and then put up people, what kind of complaints come in. Imagine the same thing that you got to do in digital today. That's the change. Same thing you got to do in digital, right? You got to imagine that the customer is going to be making decisions at any place, be it on airport, before he boards a flight, or in a cab, or in a movie theater, anywhere the customer will make decision today. So the decision making is shifted from a convenience of a branch to a convenience of your home, where the guy will come with physical application form, you'll sign everything, you will see him, you'll trust him, you'll want to give him that business. That is shifted to digital. So digital is where customers want to make the decision wherever they are. That's the convenience, right? So imagine the same branch setup need to be there in digital. In the sense, having the same personalized relationship that you can have on digital, which means to say that ideally, if before when you happen to make a call, right, as end customer to a bank, for example, if that person gets exact insights, Mr. Sridhar, you have been having account with us for this long, you have a customer complaint which is pending, your credit card application is approved, your royalty rewards are a bit of a challenge, we are in the process of solving it. Imagine if the person is able to narrate these 4 things about you when you call him or her, just like the way in the branch, it'll be terrific, right? That's what we are looking at digital. It's a shift from branch to here. How do you exactly personalize? The branch manager is the person whom you speak to, right? On similar lines, most of these statistics are like above 70% of the customers expect to deliver personalized experience. Yet I will tell you, the same people will hate you by the equal percentage. The same 76% of the people will hate you at the same percentage that it's not happening well for me. So customer experiences are accelerating in the financial services space, right? So they wanted something very immediate. In the sense, boss, I'm about to board my flight. Tell me yes or no, whether you're going to do it yes or no. Are you going to reduce my interest rate, yes or no? Don't ask me come to the branch. There has to be more enablement of front-end people, more enablement of decision making that needs to happen for people to make decisions and personalize. This is what startups are doing, right? What startups are doing is they're enabling people. The moment you get onto, standard example is your car insurance renewal. The moment you get onto your website, you put your mobile number, phone number, declare what is the IDV value of your car, you'll get a call in 5 minutes. Definitely you'll get a call in 5 minutes, the guy is ready to give you an offer. So it's immediate, it has to be more contextual, it has to be intelligent, right? You would expect to be served faster because our expectations have generally gone up, right? There are, as Abhishek was pointing out, there are the traditional banks, there are the new fintech players. What the fintech players are doing, they're taking away the cream from the traditional bankers. The traditional banks like the Axis Bank or any other bankers are screaming on top of their lungs saying that, guys, I'm the one who's responsible with the regulator. I pay all the fines to regulator. You're taking away my margins. So I have to become better like digital. I have to become much more better in digital, right? That is what most of the traditional banks are screaming on top of their lungs today. That's where personalization becomes much more critical for your top line, which means to say that if you're able to establish mentally that digital is the new channel, it's a separate channel in parallel to the branch, and I've got to look at addressing customer there. Customers are going to come there. Customers are their expectations are very different there. How do I make it much more malleable, much more private, much more secure? I think various organizations have done various things. Some of the banks during the pandemic have gone ahead and started video calling branches. Very, very unique initiative, right? I can see some of you nodding your head. Video calling, that's mean they brought the entire branch experience over a call, right? People will call you and they sort of complete your transaction right then and there. They're enabled. Those 20, 30 video calling guys are enabled very well. Same thing we will have to look at extending to digital levels of personalizing it experience to people, right? So moving ahead, this is the typical silos that exist between now till where we want to be. From this slide, if you can see, I think traditionally we've always built businesses product wise, right? Each one of our businesses were built very, very product wise. I can see her smiling, right? Built product wise in the sense, I want to be a leader in home loans. So let me focus completely on the home loan business. This is a Diwali and marriage season. Let me focus completely on personal loan. The guy who brings the personal loan application, I will want to change my account to a higher deposit account. He's not bothered. Sir, I'm here to sell personal loan, take the personal loan. So traditionally, it's been acquisition of the product sales. It's not been a customer-centric as well as engagement-centric approach. That's the change. That means to say that if you have to go ahead and reimagine how the front-end sales guys will be, there is a bit of an org change that needs to happen internally. In the sense that people should be gold on selling across the products rather than going ahead and selling only one or two particular products, right? That's the change that got to happen, because that person who's interacting with the customer is representing the bank. He's not representing a personal loan branch, or he's not representing a term insurance product. He's representing your brand. The person is representing your brand. He becomes your Spock. Everything will have to converge with him. Not like, for example, everything remains siloed, right? That's a change. For that to happen, the biggest challenge is data, right? So let's demystify this data. It's not that big demon if you're able to take one step at a time and slowly solve it, right? All these, again, comparing ourselves to the branch, all the data existed in branch manager's head. He knows this guy prefers cappuccino whenever he comes, or a strong filter coffee when he comes to the branch. When he comes, he spends 30 minutes with me. That needs to be in digital. That's all needs to happen. All the personalization parameters, Mr. X, the data is always anonymized in terms of personalization. This Mr. X is a 32, 35-year-old profile. He works in an IT company. These are the parameters that needs to be captured across in the digital format so that you're able to use that in every interaction, right? So that's where you will have to have multiple sources of data converging, to which is a behavioral data, CRM data, branch level data, how many transactions does he do across an ATM, what is the kind of time frame at which he buys a home loan, or if he's bought a home loan, what are the stages of the career in which he is at, right? Some of you are experts at it. I need not speak about it, right? Most of you have done in banking environment. For example, 20 to 25, what is the career stage of a person, what he's looking for? 25 to 30, what he's looking for? 30 to 35, what he's looking for, right? If you map this, that's another set of personalization parameters available to you. Then the channels, right? As I said, people want to make decisions wherever they are today, right? That means to say that branches will, fortunately or unfortunately, India is a terrific market, right? Any new car that is launched, you'll see on the road because of the fact that the demand is very high in India, right? Unlike other countries. So we will continue to have the branch business growing, but you'll also continue to have the other side of the business like digital, or for example, virtual relationship managers, VRMs. That's correct, right? The VRMs, the video call guys, VRMs will also continue to be a growing business. And it's an exciting time. It's a beautiful, exciting time, right? Whatever we are trying to innovate, RBI is few steps ahead of us. For a change, for the first time, the government is ahead of our sector, private sector, which is a terrific time to be in financial services within India, because RBI is now coming up and launching new initiatives. The latest, I don't know whether you guys have heard, with OCAN, with the India stack coming in, they want to look at how do I give a loan to a Vada Pav vendor opposite to Churchgate station in the morning, and he should pay the money back in the evening, right? Imagine the guy borrows 5,000 rupees in the morning from the bank, he produces his Vada Pav product, sells it, makes 7,000 and pays back 5,000. I wish he really makes 2,000 rupees, right? So that's the objective. That's a financial inclusion where the government is ahead of the financial services business. So that's where it all the more becomes important for us to look at, being that representation of a brand when defining personalization to a next level, right? Moving forward, we'll look at challenges of personalization at scale. What are the challenges exactly? Very simple, 3 parts that let's split it up into 3. One is the data, second one is content, and third one is the journeys, right? Data, when we mean to say, not all data is stitched together today in a simple format that I have a customer ID. My customer ID within CRM has a complaint raised. My customer ID in your core banking, I am probably a salaried customer or a HNI, whatever that could be. And the third area is at a branch level where I have approached somebody for a personal loan. These three data in a simple manner are not talking to each other, right? So all organizations have done today is they've come up with common data formats. You just have to stick to that data format. It will stitch me into a single profile. Now let's add a little bit of more complication to it. If I go on LinkedIn and Facebook, if I have two different accounts, LinkedIn I'm a professional, on Facebook I'm probably a weekend chef. The software should be intelligent enough to quote that both these guys are the same and deduplicate it. So that my profile is stitched that this person is a chef on the weekend, he is a software professional, and he is a salary account holder, he has a complaint pending on CRM. This is the window that you require, right? That's a part that we are struggling with data at this moment. As with every evolution, we'll get there. It's just a matter of time we'll get there. We got to go through the noise, but all of us will have to raise enough shouts, right? If you go to a branch, you'll go and scream, right? You don't even know about me, this, that's what you got to do. So let's do that and build this data together. Build this data together so that it's all stitched up and we get what we want to get. There's also another angle of regulatory requirements within banking environment. It's not easy. Banking is a highly regulated environment. We will have to follow the norms. These regulations are a must and required, right? In certain areas, we may not be able to personalize some parts of the data. That's one of the key challenges for us in this industry when compared to retail or any other industry. Second one is content. I think this is something that we should solve it together as an industry, because all of us think that in India, there is wonderful talent available. If you want to build a website, get two people, get a small agency, build a website quickly, right? Build a website quickly, and we suddenly 5 years, 6 years down the lane, we've created about 20 websites. Each one of them are in different shape and size. And there are various agencies who are going ahead and managing my content. I still don't even know. When I have to launch a beautiful Diwali offer, I call this agency and I tell him, by 2018 में जो content बनाया ना उसको भेजो जल्दी launch करना है मुझे, right? And that guy sends you on WhatsApp, you approve it in WhatsApp, and campaign goes live, you go home. This is what we've been doing. Am I resonating with everyone? Is this what we've been doing? The lady here is in full smiles. Right? Okay. So coming back. So what does this mean? This means that when we mean to say content, I think we produce a lot of content as financial services companies, various companies. Imagine if that is put in one container with you, right? The ideal goal is ABC Bank Limited. Tomorrow the logo changes. At one click of a button, everywhere it should change. You should not be making change in app. You should not be making change in website. Or ATM is a different application. Let me change the logo there also, right? That's the reality, right? So just reimagine content to be putting everything in one place, and that place serves content everywhere. So that you only address that part, content automatically gets served. So tomorrow, if you want various versions, why 2018, 2012 campaign that you did was a beautiful campaign for Diwali. Let's relaunch that campaign in 2022. Should be easier, right? That's a bit of a challenge that exists today. Last part is the journeys. For the journey part of it, I just want to take you to the next slide. Today, this is how the journey goes. Pardon the resolution here. The first part is the research, how the customer traverses, right? So he does a bit of a research on one website, then he goes into mobile, then he goes into the branch, then he goes into the web, then he goes into the email, then he goes into call center. All of this is one customer. All we have to do is put customer right in the middle and imagine where and all he is going. So evaluate certain software which is easier to do that, where he is going. And in just like in branch, the touch point is between the branch manager and the customer. Here the touch point is your logo or your brand initiative where the customer touches. That's the point of intervention or the point of decision making. So let's simply reimagine putting customer right in the middle, and where is his journey map? Where is this customer going? If he's done a research, for example, last night on the website, looking at 8.5% interest rate, next day he should get an offer for home loan at 8.25% interest rate so that he converts well there, right? Rather than asking him, sir, why are you here for? What are you doing here? The guy will get irritated, obviously, right? You don't even know about me. So just imagine in that format where if you have a journey map of the customer and what is the point of intervention at which you should send contextualized and the right communication, right? So that's the need of the hour, but that doesn't happen today, but I'm sure we'll get there, right? So it's a very, very fragmented journey for the customer today. It's very, very disconnected journey for the customer. I'm sure all of us can correlate to how many times we have to explain the same problem to call centers, be it airline, be it a hotel, or be it a banking, anywhere. We have to explain our problem multiple times. I think it's just a matter of time that it will go away. So next few slides, I'm going to talk about how, as Adobe, we are reimagining the entire customer experience, right? So if you look at it across the three areas, the data part of it, the second one is the content part of it, as well as the journey part of it, we've looked at series of intervention points where we would want you to give the right offer to the customer or the right message to the customer with right emotion to the customer, and yet you build your own asset. As Abhishek was pointing out, right, the third-party cookies are expiring, which means to say that as much we know about our customer today is better for us, because the classic old example of Jet Airways. Jet Airways went down, Intermile still survives because they have very rich customer data, right? Tomorrow, the banking business will transform probably into rich customer profile business. Why do you think Amazons of the world don't share customer profile data? Because they're all inclining towards building rich customer profile data, which they don't share it with many parties. And bank sits with the best confidential information you guys have as a bank, correct? You know everything about every customer, right? You know, bank knows everything about every customer, right? Imagine that if you are able to enrich your customer profiles and build that data, it's super rich for you guys to make it. And banks know more than any other institution, probably, I can bet. Probably hospital is the next one where we will know, but bank will know the entire evolution of our financial life so far, right? So there is every technology part of it, from the data part of it on behavioral analytics. I'll talk about a couple of architecture slides. It's a very complex slide, but let me just demystify it. The arrows show how the data flow happens across. The real-time customer profile is what is a single customer profile. Imagine a big container like a CDP, customer data profile. It has all the data coming in the sense that known profile, unknown profile. I go ahead and do something on, let's say, makemytrip.com. Even that cookie data comes in together. I go ahead and interact in branch, that data comes together. I withdraw 15,000 rupees every month to pay my driver, for example, on 5th of every month. That data is also there. All the data is there. What does CDP do is, it stitches everything into one profile which is associated with me, right? And this is taken out as segments used to target customers wherever they are. Next time, wherever I go, 5th of the month, if I go to ATM, I should get a personalized offer the moment I insert my card, because there is data about me that I withdraw money every 5th of every month, right? That is what a CDP should ideally do. Within a matter of a few milliseconds, it should give insights about what customer's action he is going to do and what exactly is an offer that I want to push, or what kind of a communication that I wish to do, right? So this has roughly all three parts: data, content, and journeys. Where are the customer journeys? There's a journey map. The data looks at intervention points at that journey. What is it that you got to do? And what content I'll have to push. On the same example of 5th of every month, when I go to ATM to withdraw money, hey, do you know that we've launched a new app through which you can pay to your driver, or you can pay whoever you wish to, right? A little bit of a content that you push it onto me, right? So these are the intervention points at which where you look at making the interaction more personalized using data, pushing content that is relevant to him at the point wherever I am in my purchase journey or interaction journey or a service journey with a branch, with a bank, for example, right? If I'm about to change my address, it can simply say that, hey, looks like you moved your location. Now, do you want to just change your address? Here's a link to change your address, so that I don't have to visit the branch, right? So this is what Adobe does across all three areas, across data, content, as well as journeys. Journeys are a little bit more better today in terms of, there are two kinds of journeys we look at it. One is assisted journeys and unassisted journeys. Those of you who are in life insurance segment, you can never buy a product without any assistance, a life insurance product still in India, because it's highly regulated. At some point in time, you will want to talk to somebody, get your medical check organized, right? There is a bit of regulatory thing. They align your policy premium and things like that, right? So those will continue to be assisted journeys, but there are certain products within the bank like a personal loan which I require. Why should I go through an assisted journey at all? I can buy it unassisted. With OCEN, Open Credit Enablement Network, today, you will have data about all of us as customers, as banking, insurance, everybody readily available about our credit thing. So what is RBI doing? RBI is just preponing that credit decision to the front so that you can leverage India Stack and how soon you can disburse the amount or get them to sign up for a insurance policy based on their credit rating and things like that. That's okay, which is a brilliant initiative, right? Similarly, assisted journeys and assisted journeys. All service journeys should be absolutely unassisted for updating my PAN number, for changing my mobile number, for changing my email ID, or for changing my address. Should all be available online on abcbank.com, form center where you click, you go through, finish the process, right? That's how we'll have to imagine so that we are able to make people much more efficient so that they spend time where we want them to spend, right? Somebody asked me this question. This is a very inquisitive question. Why is Google investing in driverless cars? Can somebody answer? Just think, why is Google investing in driverless cars technology? We all read about driverless cars. Why is Google investing in it? Any innovative, creative answers?
Ultimately, this all depends on the data and analyzing the surroundings where it will be driving without any assistance.
Dig little deeper. Think little. It's a very simple answer. Think little better. It's as easy as they've analyzed the amount of time each one of us spend in driving if you have screen time. Imagine what you can do, right? You'll be watching YouTube, or you'll search on something, or you'll do some bookings. Imagine the people across the world who will spend time on their platform. They want our eyeballs to the technology. In the same way, in a banking financial services industry, why do we want people wasting time in a branch for changing an address? For us to think about it, right? We want them to be buying a product. So let's digitize all the service journeys. Let's go ahead and help the customer as much as possible so that when that person comes to our channel, we are ready to offer him the right product, right? Just connecting the two metaphors. So similarly, this is my last slide. It's a very simple slide, I will say. It's a complex one, but let me just help you guys understand this a little bit more better. On the left-hand side is various data sources. As I said, multiple data sources coming through. The integrate and analyze part is where I spoke about the big container, which is real-time profile that gets created. You can pull out segments of the customers and target them. There are two kinds of, right? Push and pull, right? Whatever the marketing that you guys do. I'm not a digital marketeer, right? Across the push and pull, what segments, how do you want to pull out the segments and go ahead and do it. Adobe has front-end CX applications which goes ahead and projects it. Now, there are some of the customs applications like India Stack. Leveraging India Stack, how you can go ahead and leverage a Aadhaar integration or eKYC or video KYC or OCEN for that matter. Just imagine when a customer wants to buy a simple personal loan product, he should go on your website. I want to buy a personal loan, click on it, authenticate himself with his customer ID and a mobile OTP, two-factor authentication as per RBI. Then he puts the loan amount. When he puts the loan amount, it's integrated with API. It calculates and tells me, for this tenure, this is the EMI. Are you willing to go ahead? Then OCEN data flows in, which says, hey, you have a pre-approved offer, right? You have a pre-approved offer. Based on your credit score, you're eligible for this kind of a loan. I would want this or lower or equivalent to that value. You go ahead and click button and it says your loan is processed. At the next stage, somebody contacts you or you get an email saying that upload these documents, your loan will be disbursed to your account. Simple process, right? This is what we got to do in the digital world so that it becomes easier and the person need not have to interact. And at every intervention point, you can also put in some nice videos or insights so that the customer knows what to do. For example, on an FD page, nomination. Whom do I put as nomination is a big question mark, right? For FD, where do I put? So show him a small video. People usually think of nomination on these areas. By the way, it's also easier to change sometimes. The guy doesn't even call your branch. You get your job done, right? That's a part where most of these activate the Adobe applications, third-party applications like any of the on-prem for PIS software based on the regulations, right? You might want an audit trail of all of these interaction happening, so that tomorrow when RBI asks you, at a click of a button, you're able to share that information. I process the loan as a bank for this person based on these insights, and this is the session ID, and this is how the journey happened. The same record you have, very similar to a branch, physical paper with seal. Remember that seal, that sound of that seal in the branch, right? You hold the same record with you, right? So the rest of it is where banks, I truly believe if you're able to solve this, you'll be able to pivot into various other businesses. There are banks which go on ahead and set up commerce portals for selling possessed cars. The banks which are saying, I will run my own loyalty program, where for my credit card points, there are various things. You can invest in enriching the experience to the customer so that banks and life insurance companies become more of a financial wellness partners rather than mere product sellers, right? So on that note, thank you very much. I hope the session was useful. Open to any questions, please. Lifeline offer. All right, I'll not take, please.
Today, as the trend is changing, not only in banking but everywhere, people expect a different level of service. Today we don't go to a single merchant individual website. We go to Amazon or we go to Myntra. Similar is happening. It has already started happening in the banking sector, where
Correct.
aggregators are there, and they have a different level of service that is there in the market, whereas bank are still struggling with the legacy systems. What do you suggest, how bank come up the curve, and they will be able to provide the similar level of service, because today customer expect the same level of service from maybe a Google Pay might be providing or some other fintech might be providing. When they come to bank, and they have the similar expectation. What are your suggestions that how bank can tackle the challenge that we are facing today?
Can I give you a outside industry example?
Sure.
You know about Netflix? 5 years ago, what was Netflix doing? Netflix was buying content everywhere, making good money. Stock prices were rising. What did Disney say? It's my content. You're making money out of my content. What is happening to my shares? What did Disney do? Disney Plus. Your bank needs to become Bank Plus. Just matter of time. Just matter of time. Today, Disney Hotstar during the T20 World Cup was one of the top performing OTTs. Where was Disney 5 years ago, 7 years ago? What's happening to Netflix? Netflix has to produce more and more native content. So bank owns the products. Bank owns the responsibility to sell. It's just the top customer experience layer that you got to revamp. And it's just a matter of time that you just focus from branch to digital. In parallel, along with the branch, launch yourself a digital arm, no matter how small it is, one step at a time, build it, you will get there eventually, right? So there is 3 parts, data, content, as well as the customer journeys. Start onboarding them. I'm sure all of us know it, some of our traditional branches, when I remember I used to go to SBI or a Canara Bank or somebody, right? Suddenly the branch manager on fine day will say, sir, please buy insurance. Now we are authorized to sell insurance. Please buy mutual fund. It's just that change. It's just that small bit of a change that you got to go through, right? When somebody visits your branch, for example, the branch manager says, sir, it's all available online. You don't have to come this far in this traffic. Your service request will all be taken care of online. Take this URL, get it done. That's the bit of a change that we got to do in serving the customers a little bit more better, right? I hope I've answered your question. Not really, then, yeah.
I'll give you.
I will not take too much of time.
No problem, please.
So what I meant is, because providing a cumulative experience. Suppose I might have, as a consumer, account in 3 different banks and or credit card. Today I can align with cred and pay my bills and for all the banks credit cards. So that kind of services. Suppose a corporate is there, they want to have a bank guarantee, they want and And the other
Yeah,
service, which is the beneficiary of the bank guarantee, they want to validate. They will not. They do not want to integrate with each and every bank, because that will be a too much of effort. So
Correct.
at the same time, some other aggregator is able to provide that. So my question was in that context.
Yeah. So you have my lifeline. I didn't answer it first time, right? So you can take on the lifeline. Now I've understood your question. See, we are operating in a highly regulated environment. For example, when we were interacting with one of the banks, for this bank to pivot into becoming a simple marketplace for loans, right? They didn't get it approved from RBI. They didn't get approval from RBI. The aggregators are treated differently. Aggregators are treated a little bit like a horizontal when compared to banks. It's a highly regulated environment. But I think, to be fair, RBI is also coming up with various initiatives like digital bank, looking at opening up few things for the banks, but they're yet cautiously taking those steps, right? So there's a regulatory part of it that needs to get taken care of. But I truly believe traditional banks, within your current circle of products itself, you have enough on cross-sell, upsell, taking care of the customer's lifestyle needs based on their financial well-being. So in my view, one of the vision that a bank should have today is, for example, if I'm banking with the next bank, any financial requirement that I have, the first port of call should be that bank across my family, right? If you're able to achieve that, hey, let me check if this bank offers this service, right? So you will also look at, based on the inquiries that are coming, you will say that, hey, why don't we start this new thing? There are more inquiries around it. This is how startups have pivoted, right? They go ahead and say, there's a problem, let me solve the problem, I become a new company itself. So that's where, within the circle of products, if we are able to serve well, as well as slowly start adding requirements, as it's highly regulated, it's not easy for you to become a aggregator. That's a bit of a challenge. Hope I've answered you this time. Yeah.
Okay. So
All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Usually my sessions go a little longer. Sorry about the time that I took. Thank you, everyone.
Sridhar, may I request you to please stay back with us? We would like to hand over a memento. May I request Mr. Nataraj Bhaskaran, Global Head, DXP Business, TCS Interactive, to please hand over a memento to Sridhar. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have it nice and loud for Sridhar? Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, before we move on to the next session, as Sridhar was saying, you can ask me any question and I will answer it. Yeah, we should have asked some more difficult questions to Sridhar. So I'm going to throw out some more questions over here, Sridhar. Okay, on your behalf now to the audience. But before that, a little bit of background. I do a lot of lateral thinking workshops. So where you've got to think out of the box. So within your constraints, in fact, we've got to think out of the box, because that is what the new age is all about. We cannot be ready for the future. We have to create the future. So in that regard, I've got a question which I'm going to throw out, and 99.9% we will never get the right answer. So don't worry about it. All right. The question is very simple. Now, since we are in the BFSI space over here, these 1 rupee coins, you've got the year in which they were minted embossed on them. So can somebody tell me, why are 2007 1 rupee coins more valuable than 2006 1 rupee coins? And it's a fact, by the way. Yeah. So, yes, any guesses? There are no right or wrong answers. Yeah, only wrong answers. Come on. Any guesses? Come on. Why are 2000? Yes, sir? The weight of the new coin is lesser. Okay. So, it's a good point, but not the right one, but it helps us to think differently. So when we think laterally, we are exercising our muscle. So that's a good one, sir. Yeah, but not the right one. Any other ones? Yes? You had one? It came out later. Could be another one. So when we go to the gym, we exercise our muscles, we get bigger muscles. So when we exercise our brain, then it works. All right. So again, maybe not the right answer. Anybody else? When I give you, yes, sir? This is the first time I've heard this one. I like it. What's your name, sir?
Gaurav.
Gaurav. Can we have a huge round of applause for Gaurav? Very nice. Gaurav, you are an outside the box thinker. Yeah, even though not the right answer, but I really like it. All right. So let me tell you, sometimes too much of data is also not good. Yeah, so my initial data which I gave you was not really required. My question was, why are 2007 1 rupee coins more valuable than 2006 1 rupee coins? Forget the previous data. Now? You're very close. You don't know how close you are. Okay, so my question was, why are 2007 1 rupee coins more valuable than 2006 1 rupee coins? Because it's 1 rupee more. 2007 1 rupee coins is equal to 2007 rupees. 2006 1 rupee coins is equal to 2006 rupees. Am I right? Can I have a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much. So, just pushing the fact about thinking out of the box. Sometimes too much data, not good. Sometimes we've got to think right out of the box. I've got many of those, but right now, maybe not at this forum, maybe the next time. Right now, we would like to start off with our panel discussion. The rise of challenger banks and digital leaders is transforming customer expectations as financial services become increasingly agile and personalized. Companies today need to find more opportunities to impress and delight their customers. Let's discover how financial services can unlock customer success with personalization. Please join me, ladies and gentlemen, today in welcoming our esteemed panel for the evening for an insightful discussion on unlocking customer success with personalization. We would like to invite on stage Manisha Puri, Vice President, Customer Experience and Head, Aditya Birla Health Insurance. Please get your hands together as Manisha joins us on stage. Very interesting. Manisha is a design thinker with over 18 years of experience and has worked across industries as a customer experience professional towards building and strengthening customer responsive culture to ensure business dividends. We would like to invite Mr. Pradeep Nidamarthi, Vice President and Head Digital SBI Mutual Fund. Can we have it nice and loud for Pradeep? Pradeep comes with a rich experience in leading digital business and transformation for the biggest asset management company in India. His previous stints include Reliance Group, Future Group, eBay, and Amazon, among others. We would like to invite next on stage Abhijit De, Vice President, Product Head, Digital API Banking, Axis Bank. Yes. Welcome to you, Abhijit. Abhijit is currently heading API and Open Banking in Axis Bank, spearheading API adoption and API monetization. He's an experienced product head with a demonstrated history of working in BFSI. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite on stage Natarajan Bhaskaran, Global Head DXP Business, TCS Interactive. Please get your hands together as Mr. Bhaskaran joins us on stage. Baski, as he is fondly known, has over 25 years of experience in leveraging disruptive technology by applying human-centered design practices for customers across industries. He consults with and advises businesses regularly, working with partners and Fortune 500 brands around the world to define CX strategies and lead digital transformation. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to moderate the session, we would like to invite on stage the Associate Research Director, Financial Insights, IDC, Mr. Abhishek Kumar. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panel?
So I think the way we'll do it is I'll have some questions for the panel, we'll have a discussion, and then we'll open it up to the floor for questions, because I'm sure everybody here wants to pick their brains, not just me. So I think why don't we start off with a question just for the entire panel here? Something nice and easy to get us into the talking mood. I'd love to hear some of the winning customer retention, customer acquisition strategies that you guys have had recently, something that you guys are proud of. Manisha, would you like to kick it off?
Sure, thanks, Abhishek. So for us, as in specific, not very specific to industry, but what I've been seeing, I think acquisitions have been one of the easiest ways of acquiring customers, right? Easy. We have big examples in front of us from Adani's and all. So rather than focusing on acquiring a customer, it's better to acquire a company so that the customer becomes a part of that particular group, right? From our perspective, if I see so, on acquisition, digitization has played a very, very big role, right? Going to the depth. So when we were speaking, when the presentation were happening, while we were talking about the width, we were talking about the depths, right? Digitization has helped take care of the depth part of it. So the rural penetrations that have happened to through digitization, while everybody says, rural में तो इतना mobile नहीं चलता, But I think telecom says a different story, that the penetration that we have in rural, the way it is moving on, I think that has really helped us from an health insurance industry go down to the rural markets.
And can I just ask, on the rural side, is primarily via mobile? How are you communicating with the client base there? Is it primarily via mobile that you're seeing the acquisitions?
Partly yes, partly it's a hub and spoke model that we have, right? That is really helping us. So our own advocates who are there, right, who take it forward, agencies and all. But yes, mobile has really helped, right? Because we have enabled everybody. So irrespective of any touch point, everything is available on the app. So you want to acquire a customer, it's there on the app. So that's how the life is, easy for our partners, for us, and, on the journey of making it for the customers as well.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you because you raised a number of points there. But let's give Pradeep a chance to talk about it.
Hi, everyone. I don't have any specific strategies to speak, so to say, but one thing that we have realized is, like she said, right, a lot of interaction happens on mobiles, and not right now, but the move is towards over the next 2 to 3 years, or even before that. I think a lot of things need to be done in the medium that the customer is very comfortable with. So one of the things that we really want to do is develop WhatsApp as a genuine bona fide business channel, right? Because they might not have my app, they might not have the aggregator's app, but everybody has WhatsApp. They know it, they know how to do stuff on it. And now that's one channel which now provides you options to do different kinds of things from a business point of view as well. So solve for it there, for where the customer is already present, than asking him to come to me and try to solve his problem. So go where the customer is, age old, but I think that's where we are moving towards. And also one more thing we strongly believe is over the next 3 to 5 years, apps, websites will all be replaced by some form of bot. It could be a voice bot, it could be a text bot, but the mobile might just become a surface with which you can interface. Your TV might replace your mobile. You might go back to TV again. So those technologies, interfaces, where the customer is something that we really look at to sort of get to Bharat as such, because that's a very important mandate for us in what we want to do.
And I'll definitely be picking your brains a bit more because your particular securities and funds has a very different challenge than insurance and banking, and we'll talk a bit more about that. So we'll definitely circle back. Now, it's interesting Pradeep's talking about WhatsApp banking because I know Axis Bank has a WhatsApp banking initiative, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
But anyway, I don't want to answer the question for you. So Abhijit, please go for it.
In Axis Bank, WhatsApp banking or mobile banking or internet banking, these all are the older channels, right? But one interesting channel which we picked up in this last 2 years is that API banking channel, right? And people who are dealing with open APIs and all, they all know that API developer portal is mostly to showcase your tech capabilities, right? What we did, we commercializing our APIs through that portal, right? It's not only a showcase, it's an onboarding journey, an onboarding experience we are giving to our developer communities, right? And also to the corporate who are willing to use our APIs. So there's an unique channel which we have created, right? And where we are building experience and partnership around it.
So you have a developer portal that you created.
Yes.
So how has that helped? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that initiative?
Sure. Let's talk about a use case, right? I mean, normally banks, they're having thousands of APIs, right? I mean, Sridhar was demonstrating all those journeys, and all those journeys are being backed by multiple APIs. These APIs can be private, these can be public, right? Now, talking about the public API, for example, penny drop, It's a use case, right? But if you see the penny drop, it's nothing but a IMPS and balance inquiry API. It's a combination of that API, right? So based on the use cases, we reproductize our APIs. We publish those APIs in developer portal. We channelize those APIs to the corporate communities where corporate can do their financial transaction by using our APIs, right? And that will increase the traffic, that will increase the transaction volumes and all, right? So these are the use cases we are showcasing there, and the onboarding of corporate that we are doing via the developer portal. And another use case around connected banking, right? If you see these days there are lots of cloud-based ERPs coming up, and customers, be it Axis or HDFC or any other bank, right? They are going to they're using those ERPs and they wanted to link their account from there, right? So there is a connected banking experience which we are providing via these APIs.
Okay, interesting. Vaski, I've left the best for the last. So you can provide a different point of view from outside of the industry. So tell us, please.
So I just want to bring the cross-industry point of view and see what it means to the financial services industry. And I like the point what I think it was said. We would like to engage with our consumers wherever they are, right? And what we have seen is across other industries, everybody is trying to experiment and explore on the virtual world. Virtual stores, lot of retail and brands were working with them on the virtual stores. And specific to, if you bring the financial services perspective, the virtual bank, right? That's another one, the emerging channel coming up, where everyone is exploring that how we can prepare ourselves or do the foundations so that we are able to engage through the virtual banking. That's one thing I just want to add on to it.
Thank you. I wanted to continue with Pradeep. Now, mutual funds and securities, these have a very different set of challenges than, as we were saying earlier. Can you talk about some of these steps that your organization has taken to address these challenges? What have you guys done which is different?
Without going into specifics, let me try to talk about it in a much more generic way, right? Like we were talking earlier as well. And this holds good for all financial services, right? Nobody gets up in the morning saying that I will buy a mutual fund, right? Or let me do this, let me do that. Means this is a necessary evil that people do. So we really recognize that. That's one thing that we are very aware of. And we are also know that people go about their life and we need to somehow plug into their life and bring a context and then do the business with them, right? Especially when it is a push kind of thing, right? Second thing that we also recognize is that on the banking side, especially, people do have a much higher engagement with the customer. On the mutual funds and security side, that engagement is much lower, right? And people don't even start investing, right? The one popular thing I use is that investing is like exercising, right? Everybody knows you should exercise, it's healthy, it's good. You ask anybody, they'll say, let me do it from tomorrow, right? So that inertia is always there. So we need to solve for that. That's the second big problem. And I think we need to acknowledge, again, not only in mutual funds, more so in mutual funds and securities, I guess, but in financial services in general, I always say this, we always build products, experiences for our colleagues, people on the floor, right? We are very much with our jargon. We want to talk to the customer also as if you're talking to the colleague. And if your colleague is happy that, this is a great experience, you think you have built the best experience in the world, and the customer is thoroughly confused or worse yet, not interested, right? So these are the three problems that we really face. And like I said, different things that we do is one, use the technology should not be a barrier. So wherever the customer is, build an experience for them there. Second thing that we do is, if there is an overall journey that the customer is doing, bring context with data, and provide some amount of personalization. And third thing is really talk to the customer in the center of things and solve for it. For example, a lot of us talk about CAGR, XIRR, this is the return that you have got and everything. And people just get turned off when they hear that. But if you can just talk to a customer and say, आपका पैसा 4 सालों में डबल होगा, 7 साल में डबल होगा या 10 साल में डबल होगा, everybody, right, from the lowest strata that you can think of, understands that concept and they know what the return is intuitively, right? So a very tough concept gets broken down into a very simple thing. And we concentrate on these 3 main things to sort of get to solve for the problems that I talked of.
So when it comes to customer acquisition, are we talking about, what are the channels we're talking about? Is it WhatsApp, like you were saying? Are there other channels?
See, especially if you talk about mutual funds in general, see, we are the biggest asset manager in India and also one of the fastest growing asset managers in India. We do have some inherent advantages with the whole, SBI bank being the biggest distributor in India of financial services. And we do have a very close relationship with them because it's our parent bank, our parent organization. But when we look at acquisition, while the B2C side of things is something that we really look to cultivate and reach out to our customers, it's not our primary acquisition channel, so to say. Our primary acquisition channel, our strength lies in our distribution, and there are, let's say, 80,000 distributors in India for mutual funds. As the market leader, we think about how can I make this 80,000 4 lakh distributors, and that's where the technology comes in, because I cannot move from 80,000 distributors to 4 lakh distributors without technology. Once I can do that, customers will come by themselves, right? So we build that reach into Bharat, from where the next generation of customers will actually come in.
Okay. There's more I want to drill down in there, but we'll have more open conversations around that. Manisha, now, in terms of Aditya Birla's customer centricity initiatives, they have always been highly digital from what I've seen, right? In fact, I was reading that 65% self-servicing, with more than 90%, I think it was like around 98% of the clients being digitally onboarded.
True, very true.
And actually, the most delightful thing is your self-service bot is called Abhi.
Yeah, it's called Abhi.
Which I love. So can you tell us a little bit about what did your organization have to go through to achieve these kind of rates of digital acquisition? I know we've briefly touched on it with the rural side, but what did you go through? In your point of view, what was the crucial steps that you guys had to make, those difficult steps to get to this level of success?
So Abhishek, I think COVID was a turning point for us, right? The health insurance industry is where you need a person speaking. You need to have that emotion, interacting. A person is able to understand your feelings and all. And ours was more of a very physical driven, right? Less on website, less on apps and everything. Because app was there for a very different reason, because the USP that we have is all linked onto the app. I'll talk about that. So suddenly when COVID come in and suddenly the branches are shut, there is nothing, but our sales doubled. We are the fastest growing health insurance company in India, right? While we started very late, we would have been an 11th or the 12th player, but we are the fastest growing. COVID taught us that it's time to change. Everything has to move digital because people want it. It is their need. And to fulfill their need, we had to have our digital assets, right, tripled 4 times, 5 times, but it has to move into the speed so that we are able to cater to that. So that's one of the reasons that we had our apps, Abhi, right? We have our websites, we have these chatbots. Our complete onboarding, as you rightly said, right? It's digital. And that is how ABHI Health Insurance has been able to keep up to it. When we talk about the depth of it, right? The partnering part that I spoke about, we have another USP that we have, wherein we go with bite-sized products in partnership of Olas and Ubers of the world, wherein whenever you're riding, the health insurance comes with that. Consumer might not know, but we are there taking care of their life, right? Even when they are traveling in. So that's how we digitally. So we've digitally would have scaled up. I really don't know the amount of money, the capex that has gone in scaling up is humongous. It's humongous, right? So digital has been the savior for us, if I say so from that perspective, right? So COVID, yes, has changed our life from a physical to a digital. But yes, we are physically there because it's more of a phygital for us, because we cannot survive. Health insurance industry cannot survive without that emotions and that emotive being there. Physically, we have to be there, right? But that's how digitally we have scaled up. And yes, Abhi is the app, the website that we have is known as ABHI, which is Abhi.
I love that. Were you going to say something else?
This meme came to my mind wherein it said, COVID, the chief digital officer of the world.
True.
So,
And in fact, our campaigns also, when we move, it says Abhi Karo, right? This is the time, do it. Because health, like he said, right? Nobody gets up in the morning and says, ki mujhe health insurance lena hai. But what entices them to take health insurance is that fear when it starts setting in, if they see that incident and accident that has happened, right? The family history, if there is something which is now we're seeing a trend that's coming up, that at a very early age, right, millennials, Gen Z and everybody is getting into health insurance because somewhere in the family they've seen that because of that XYZ, you land up paying crores of money into your medical stuff, right? So why not I insure myself from per se, this medical exigencies. So that's another shift that we have seen. And obviously, in order to cater to this particular cohort, we have to be digitally there.
Well, I find it fascinating that you have such a wide consumer base, from rural to the rural side to the super urban kind of side.
I just want to draw a line.
Jump in.
See, I think we are talking about how do you win the customers in the digital economy, right? So purpose-led experience, whatever the digital products and services you are creating, how you are linking your communication messages, services with the purpose. So if I look at the Aditya Birla Group, right, how they've grown in terms of their business during pandemic. I was just looking at their website and looking at some of the content. The message you have, right? It's not that you're trying to sell a healthcare insurance. You're saying that we'll take care of your healthcare, right? We'll take care of your health management. So that's a brand message. It's a purpose. So that is where you win the customer loyalty. So your customers feel that, yes, I think you are here during the COVID period to take care of my health. Rather than that, okay, you come here just to sell your products.
Right. Thanks, Baski, for getting in. Because when we say that, that's the brand that we've established ourselves, this has been a journey, right? So we are just 6.5-year-old company, right? As I said, that we would be an 11th or the 12th player that we had been. The important thing that is played for us, other than the digital, is how well do we know our customer, right? So big data coming in, it's good. We are sitting on a golden, right, kind of a hill of data. How are we using that data? And that led to a shift for us also of not making the product what we want to sell. We were selling products what the consumer needs, right? And that is why lately we have come up with special products for millennials and all, which is for them, what is the benefit that comes out to be then. So that's a realization again that we as an industry have gone through, that we are not going to be making products for what we want to sell because it's more beneficial for us. Let's turn the tables and give the product as per the need and then become beneficial, because that is where I'll be establishing my loyalty with the customer, right? And everybody, we know, right? We have professionals sitting out here that a customer who acquires the customer lifetime value that a person gives to me, if I am engaging with him at the right time, as you had mentioned, right time, right place, right thing, and right, that value that he gets to me as into the business is the effort that I'm going to be placing of acquiring a customer, right, matters a lot more. Because these loyal customers with the word of mouth by default is going to help me in acquisition. I will not be able to spend that 6 times that I give. So by default, these are going to be the organic acquisitions that are going to happen over a period of time. And we have seen this. As in when the business model is shifting from the product per se to a need and then making a product, we are seeing the positivity in the customer sentiments when they're saying, yeah, you know, you got the product for me. This is what I wanted. Rather than saying, you know, sir, ye le lo, mere paas ye hai. Oh, these are the products, but this is what I want because this satisfies my need, is where the turn has happened. Another important thing is, I think in one of the presentations, he had also mentioned that loyalty experience always sets in. It depends upon the journeys that we take the customer through, from his onboarding for a health insurance claim is the biggest moment of truth that we have, right? So if the claim goes very seamless, I know I've won the customer. He's going to be loyal to me and he's ready to pay the premium. So what I'm getting into business is a loyalty plus the premium that he's ready to pay plus that organic growth that he's going to get to me, right? So engagement, while we say customer experience, you know, give a good customer experience, we personally believe engage with him in a manner that you're able to cater to his needs. He'll be a loyal customer to her, is equal to the best of the customer experience that you can give.
It's a good example of how the purpose drives the profits.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we say in Aditya Birla Group, we say delighting customer for business dividends. So every delight that we give is linked to the benefit, the profit, in whatever manner it is. What is it that a delightful customer gives to us?
So on the back of that, and I don't want to monopolize you, but on the back of that, I just want to ask, everybody mentioned that data is where everything starts. So how did you get to that point where, how long did it take you? What are the steps you took with to modernize your data, to get it to the point where you can leverage it to do these initiatives?
So I think he's also spoken about the cloud services that we have, right? The AI ML tools that we are getting into it, the data lakes of the world, right? These are the things that we have invested as a company, as a group. I'll talk about as a group as well. We've been investing into that, right? So without that, it's very difficult for us. He had mentioned in one of the conversations that for us to survive, right, we need to be there, right? So it's a matter of survival, and it's a matter of creating a difference in the consumer's life. So from a data perspective, these things, many more in pipeline, but yes, the realization came in during COVID that this is the time we need to be there. To be there, investment needs to be there.
Fantastic. So Abhijit, you've been a bit quiet, and that's partly my fault. But for Axis Bank, you guys have been doing really well on the mobile banking side. 9 million active users on a monthly basis. Can you talk to us a bit about some of the data modernization initiatives that you guys did? How are you leveraging this data that's coming in? How are you doing that? What are the CDP protocols you have in place to take advantage of them?
It's not only about Axis Bank. There is a trend in the industry, right? If you see in the banking industry especially, right? I mean, someone was saying that banks are sitting on a huge chunk of data, right? Or probably we are having the data, the quality of data, right, is bigger, higher than any other industry right now in India. So based on this data, we are creating hyper-personalized services and all. What we think, right, is that the mobile banking app or any other interfaces, right? For each and every customer, it should be different, right? We cannot create one single experience or one single interface for all the customers, right? It should be unique based on their behavior, based on their spending patterns and all, based on their behavior on the spending and repayment per se, right? And the offers which are also creating. So the data which we have, as she was talking about the data lake and all, I mean, yes, data lake, big data analytics and all are there. But what we are creating a nudging system, right? On top of that nudge system, we are creating a personalized nudges, and that is hyper personalized in the mobile banking app as well as in the WhatsApp. I mean, talking about the WhatsApp business, what we think that WhatsApp is not only for our redirection based journeys or in-app journey, right? That entire conversation should have been driven by some APIs that will create the journey itself, right? So if someone is trying to book a FD or inquiring about FD in that WhatsApp chatbot, right? That FD should be booked in the chatbot itself. He doesn't have to redirect it to another platform. That will reduce the drop off, and also it will give a hyper personalized service to them. And all these are being driven by the data which we have.
So tell me, all of you guys are talking about some really incredible initiatives. How much are you leveraging on your partner network to make these a reality? How much is this driven in-house? I'm not not putting basket in a hot spot here, but how much are you working with, in terms of ratio, perhaps, how much are you relying on your partners to really come in and give you the expertise, and how much is this driven in-house?
On the partner side, right? I mean, there are a few programs where we are co-building experiences and we are taking help of the partners, and it's a program, right? And there are many programs where it's completely driven by us. For example, this API, right? This developer portal and all. I mean, we are engaged with a couple of partners where we did a couple of benchmarks, and after that we launched it, right? There is another product called Video KYC Based FD, that deposit FD product, and so there we are building it of our own, right? It's all depend on the journey. It all depends on the product. And see, in banks, there are multiple legacy applications, and there are a few new age applications, right? So depending on the demand, depending on the paradigm on which we are working, right? We decide it over, right? But majorly we are working on of our own. We are we are actually planning to build our own capabilities around it.
And what about the both of you? Are you seeing similar things, or?
Yeah, let me talk about the data thing a little bit, right? So I think anybody who has built a CDP or a data platform of any kind will tell you the first and foremost thing that you need to do is ID stitching, in the sense that there's a nameless person that's interacting with you. That person becomes a lead, then that person becomes a registered entity, he becomes a customer, and then that whole thing, happens again. Especially on the digital front, when that person interacts with you through a different digital medium, the cookie changes. And then till that person logs in again, you don't know it's the same person, right? So till whatever data you have right now, and usually for a new organization like this, the advantage is the data is already in one place and they can start without the impact of the legacy systems. But if you have a lot of legacy systems, the data is all over the place. First, you need to consolidate. Then you need to do your ID stitching. Because, again, this will also be very relevant. Tomorrow, let's say cookie is not there. There will be some kind of ID. People will always figure out something. So you need to know the chain, so that you can understand the journey of the customer, and then you can personalize according to it, right? So a lot of time needs to be spent on making sure your data, your IDs, everything is stitched before you can do anything at all. Because a lot of the time what happens is people have all the tools in the world. People have my MarTech stack, people have, a data lake or a data warehouse or something, but still people are doing very much point-to-point things. Right? They are sending 10,000 emails to the same person. Okay, 10,000 is in hyperbole, but a typical example is a lot of times we receive emails and communications for things that we have already bought with the same organization. Why? Because different channels, data at different places is not stitched together, and that feedback loop is not enabled. So that needs to be first, that ecosystem needs to be built before any data and thereby marketing things can become, successful in any organization. So that's one. Sorry, I forgot the second question that you asked.
About the partners, the partner network.
Yeah, let's be honest, none of the BFSI companies are technology companies. We are primarily we are in financial services business, but yes, we do need to pick up our technology chops. So more than ever, I think a lot of things are done in-house, but we should surely look at, I think right now it's somewhere around a 50-50 split. Earlier it was 80-20 with partners 80 and us 20. But I don't think that is going to increase drastically. Maybe it will become 60-40 in the future, because a lot of things, smaller technology players, fintech players with that focus that they can solve for will not be able to be done by bigger players, because you have running businesses. It's tough to change the tire when the lorry is running, right? So you need to have partners to do that.
That's why these days we are not calling them by vendors and all. We are calling them partners.
Absolutely.
That's
I hate the word vendor.
Yeah.
So, spot on.
And what about
So health insurance, Aditya Billa, health insurance is it's unique, right? The reason is that we not only sell insurance, the health insurance, we are there with the customers, consumers and users, taking care of their health in their journey, right? And that is where, for us, the USP that is here that we have, and as we are growing, more and more people are coming to know about it, is the health returns and the health management support that we give, right? And health management is a complete ecosystem. It's a complete partner ecosystem. So if I'm diabetic, there is a diabetic partner who's there who will be working with me in my health management journey in order to take care that my diabetes is under control, right? Yes, we are selfish, because if my diabetes is under control, right, that means the likelihood of me getting hospitalized for anything is less. That means there are going to be less claims coming in, and that's why I'm going to be more profitable. So like we have various cohorts, right? Medical cohorts wherein we have partners who are there. So to answer, for us, it's going to be 50-50 always, because these medical, I'll say, proficiencies, bringing it in-house is a huge cost for us, right? So the balance will always be maintained. Apart from that, as he rightly said, right, that we are not a technical company, right? So the digital efforts that goes in, we prefer that it is done by the partners. But yes, the important part that plays is that the complete governance is in our hand. We need to be very clear what we want the partner to deliver, right? While we leave the how on to them, but what, because the business strategy has to be very clear that if I want this from my partner, I leave the how part to them, but that what part, the complete governance should be in our hands, because as it said, it's very regulated, and there are, we are very tied, you can't share the data from here to here and all that stuff. So those things play a very important role. So for us, I foresee whether it is AI, analytics and all, it's always going to be 50-50.
So extending on this partner conversation, and this may be more relevant to the banking guys here, is I briefly talked about third-party cookies, right? How is that something that you have been relying on? Is that something that's going to be problematic for you guys, especially after like 2023, once Google doesn't allow it on Chrome? Well, I'd just love to hear, like, maybe Pradeep, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an industry-wide issue for sure, because a lot of things that we do right now are based on that cookie. And especially, third party, we are not in SBI mutual fund, but before when I was with Reliance, we did use a lot of third party cookies and everything for acquisition. It was a mixed bag, but also probably it was the timing of it as well, because in India the data, garbage in, garbage out, right? The quality was not so great, right? So anybody might come and say, I have so many profiles and there's recency, there's this, there is that. But getting something out of this overall Google network and providing insights beyond that is a very tough thing to do, right? So our reliance and use of that has come down considerably. Anyways, in SBI Mutual we don't do it as well. I hear around that people are using it more and more. It has come down. But I think what people will do once this cookieless thing happens is you need to really know what you need to do. Like I said, you need to build your first party data for sure. And I think the future will be more about data partnerships, wherein there will be more and more, second party sort of relationships that will be set, wherein there's a natural symbiosis. And that's where big ecosystem players like, us, which is SBI Group, or, Reliance Industries or Jio, or some of these ecosystem players, or Paytm. So these guys will have more and more power. But then again, whoever can find that, have a clean amount of data and can partner well with one of these bigger players for whatever their own use case, that's where it will happen. For bigger players like us, it's about getting our house in order before this whole thing hits you. Yeah.
Abhijit, do you want to?
Yeah. So on this third-party data, right? You are saying that end of 23, Google will be rewiring all the algorithms and all, right? See, I mean, from banking per se, again, that uses of third-party data has been really, significantly coming down, right? And all the new age applications and new age portals which we are launching, especially about this API portal, we have our own mechanism, our own bot-driven trackers, right? And I think that is the future, right? And at the same time, more and more this type of changes will come, right? Account aggregator, open kind of structured and secured way of data sharing will come up, right? And he was rightly saying that second party partnerships and all, and there should be some aggregator, and that aggregator role will be played by the OCEN probably, right? So this is the future, and banks are into it, right? And we are also, on that part only.
I'd like to hear from Baski on this as well. Are people approaching you and with concerns on this?
Yeah, I think this is the problem across all industries across the globe, right? And I see each and every industry, whether it is B2C or B2B, everybody is looking at how can I rely on my own in terms of my first party data so that I can stay relevant to my prospects as well as the customers, right? In providing the personalization. We talked about to win a customer loyalty, you need to personalize in a real time, in the moment. And we also talked about, Abhijit talked about this sending a mass emails, right? Whether you already have a credit card or we already purchased a car loan, still sending a bunch of emails and campaigns. So that's where the CMO is also struggling in terms of how can I optimize my spend and drive the outcomes in a more efficient way, right? So to do all of this, the first party data investment is a must. And across all industries, we see attraction. Everybody is doing the foundation work. And if you can link back to your slide, right? It's a top of the hill, right? What you want to achieve from a customer centricity perspective. But you cannot wait for the end of 2023. You have to start and one step at a time. So for a fully digital company like Aditya Birla Insurance, yes, healthcare, they are ready. And if you look at Axis or from a Abhijit perspective, there are a lot of legacies inside. So the groundwork and planning, the foundation is something that most of the brands are looking at. And if I compare financial services, particularly the banks or insurance, with other industries, like for example, airline or retail, right? Airline, they know only 20% of the passenger who are traveling. Remaining 80% they do not know. They do not have the information, full details, right? It's very difficult for them to do any personalization or to engagement. Same thing for the retail. But you guys have the golden record. Each and every customer, whether they touched you one time, and most of them are living with you from a complete financial life journey. So the more and more you ensure that you leverage your data, first party data which you already have, and you can do wonders on top of it. If you have a CDP enabled, and you can do wonders, not just for acquisition, retention, I mean entire journey. Because today the lines are blurring between sales, service and marketing. In the digital world, it's the entire journey, how you are engaged, right? That's why I think I was just talking to one of our the global retail customer. So I said, it's the CDP or the first party investment is going to enable you the experience, engage and empower in an ethical way, right? So engage is across a journey, right? Experience, yes, you personalize, give them the experience, engage them across a journey, then empower. That's where all the self-service, right? Empower them to do it, and in an ethical way. Because one side we talk about personalization, now other side we also need to look at how are we leveraging the responsible way of our AI, and looking at the consent and the privacy and trust. That's very, very important, right? So that's why I just call it, there are 4 P's. If you want to win a customer loyalty in the digital world, 4 P's are very important. The purpose-led, right? How do you, whether you call it out the financial well-being or health management, right? So purpose. Second is about hyper-personalization at scale with the CDP. And third, about how are you able to predict the journey of the customer and you're able to help them, right? Not just about an offer. Just help them across the journey when they need it, in the moment. So be proactive, right? Proactive is the third. Fourth is about privacy and trust. So these 4 P's are taken care. I think you can win any of your digital customers in this economy today.
How are we doing for time? Do we have time for some questions? Yeah, it would be great. I think, I'm sorry, I've kind of monopolized this. Let's open it up to the floor. I'm sure you have questions here for this panel. Anybody?
And I'm sure folks are hungry as well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Hello, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. No, that was a great panel discussion, and thanks a lot to each one of the panelists and the attendees here. The question that I have is, when Sridhar mentioned about 3 things, he talked about data, he talked about content, and he talked about journeys. And I think 80% of our time has been spent on discussing only the data part, and the content and the journey is probably not something which is emphasized upon. So what is the reason for that? And the other part of the question is that there are big changes which are upon us, in terms of the metaverse coming in, or the 5G, the advent of 5G, and here we are talking about putting the data in place and so on and so forth. So what is the panel's view on the effects of these 2 mega trends that are coming in, and are they really coming in? For example, is metaverse really the promise that we thought all it is going to be? And is 5G also going to change the business landscape in a very, very drastic way, which we think it is? So that's really the question. Thank you.
You want to take that? Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. I mean, on that 5G part, I'll just give an example. And again, I'm taking to that boring subject called API. Right? So around 2 years ago, when we used to onboard our corporate customers, who are willing to have that API, right? That entire onboarding experience was around 21 days just to get them access on our testing environment, right? Then after they've been onboarded in testing environment, parallel to that, they used to close the rates and all, right? Now these days, customers are saying, I can't wait, right? You'll have to onboard me in your test environment within a second, probably. If not seconds, then at least in a couple of minutes. And I want to negotiate rate and commercialization in the journey itself. I don't want to get dropped at any point, right? And for any of my API related problem, be it in a test environment or in a production environment, I want one single person or one single platform where I'll get all the answers, right? That actually indulges us to build this developer portal and create that experience. And this experience are being backed up by a couple of journeys. For example, the onboarding journey, right? If you go to this developer portal of Axis Bank, I mean, probably I'm promoting it too much, but still, if you're going to that portal, right, you will see what are the commercials. You can negotiate in the portal. The portal has AI enabled and all, right? And you can close it over there, and there only you can click on the TNC, the terms and conditions, right? So all these journeys and experience are built together. And on that 5G part, all these are the mindsets, people, the moment people heard this word called 5G is coming, their expectations are getting built into that way that why should I wait for 21 days or 30 days? I need that API right away, right? So these are the mindset. And I think that entire banking experience, right, that will get changed with this. Especially in our bank, we have built up a couple of journeys. For example, if you want to update your KYCs and all, you don't have to go to any branch. You can do it from a mobile banking app only, right? So there are more than 100 services. We call it branch of the future, right? So those are the experiences and journeys which we are working, and these are the industry trend. I mean, all the other banks are also onto that.
So to your first question, yes, I think we under discussed the journey part and also the content part, and but then again, just to give the short end of it, I think a lot of us do recognize here that that customer centric design, now it's called design thinking, whatever, right, is very important. It's not about the UI UX, but really understanding the context of the customer and building something around it. And yes, content, absolutely, because a lot of the times we sell it very short and reuse content, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. But we should really understand what's the kind of content that people will actually consume and not go by our quota of what we are supposed to put out there. Especially financial services do it a lot. We have an agency, we tell them to do something, they do something, and everybody is happy without understanding how important it is, right? A lot needs to be done there. Now coming to your other questions, both I think 5G, surely I think there's going to be a tangible impact of it, because a lot of things which right now are not, possible, just like, he said, see, just think about what Jio did to India, right? Now, if you take 5G in that context, that's going to be 10x, 12x, and there are a lot of things which right now which are not possible will be possible because of that. 5G tangibly is going to change things, and how it's going to change things, there will be many use cases that will come up. With respect to metaverse, I think we are some time away from it really revolutionizing things around us, because I think a little bit more ecosystem also needs to be built around it. Right now, it's all these branches and everything that you build, which is like a Call of Duty minus, in fact, right? Call of Duty does that much better, and it looks very overhyped, and you think this is metaverse. I don't think that's metaverse. A metaverse is going to be something wherein you personally could interact with any surface or the space around you, which is VI, which is, though it sounds very strange, the Neuralink thing that Elon Musk is developing. Believe me, in our lifetimes, just like everybody has a phone, I think majority of the people will be having some electronic device inside their body within the next 15-20 years, and that will become the norm. And that's again big prediction, but that's going to happen. And that's when this whole metaverse thing or those things will really come into vogue. But then again, I think that's also just a matter of time, 5 years here and there, but that's going to happen as well, I feel.
Yeah, specific to metaverse, I think across industries, the initial experimentation is going on. I can call it more of a road to metaverse. and a lot of proof of concepts and experimentation. If you look at retail CPG companies, they are investing on virtual stores, right? How can I promote my new products through immersive experience with 3D and metaverse, right? So that's one part of it. And second, a lot of training and enablement. That is what the actual use case most of the companies are leveraging today. From a business use case perspective, it's evolving. And if you look at the banking, I think we are even doing some proof of concepts for a couple of global banking brands for a virtual banking, right? So it's evolving, but again, the moment the technology and capabilities are enabled, the 5G is a very close linkage to that, right? So 10 years back, our ability to do a video call in a WhatsApp or in a FaceTime was challenging, right? With just a 2G or with the standard telephone connectivity. Today with the 4G, everybody is able to do seamlessly the video call. Not only one-to-one or one-to-many or many-to-many people are able to do it, right? So 5G is going to enable the acceleration of metaverse, and metaverse from the virtual world and virtual experience, it's evolving. And I think another linkage to that is sustainability, right? I see the most of the banks and financial services are all looking at any digital products and services, either a customer experience or new products. So how we can look at saving the environment, looking at the planet, right? How the sustainability aspect of it. So the more and more you come up with a virtual banking and digitized product, which will reduce the carbon footprint, I think that will be going to drive another thing in the metaverse. So to summarize, it's a road to metaverse. We are not there, but a lot of brands are investing in terms of doing experimentation.
So thank you for that question. A lot of interesting points raised there. Now, I know people probably have other questions, but I feel like everybody's restless. So I think we should wrap it up. And then if you have questions, please feel free to approach us. Of course, we can talk about it. I just want to wrap it up with one last question with just one sentence answers from you guys. If you were to give one takeaway, one nugget of information or advice to these guys on their customer centricity journeys, what would that be? Just a one-line answer, please. Starting from me, with Manisha.
So from my side, it will be know your customer well in order to get that business dividend.
Okay. Pradeep?
Yeah, get your data and content right.
For me, I mean, before you build that digital products and all, or before you digitize the journeys of your customer, first you make yourself digitize, right? First you create the mindset inside the organization that we want to go digital. Then only you can make that whole world digital, right? So it's more like a charity business at home kind of. But that's my experience, and that's what I think.
Thank you. Basi, one sentence?
Yeah, only one sentence. Just stay relevant in that context, right? Whatever the journey or persona word, stay relevant, then follow the 4 Ps. So you'll be able to win your customer loyalty in this digital economy.
Okay, thank you. Again, I know you have questions and I'm sorry to have to cut people off, but again, please feel free to approach us afterwards. With that, I want to thank this entire panel. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for having us here. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We would request the moderator to hand over a memento to our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we would like to thank everyone for this invigorating discussion. We would like Abhishek to present a memento, starting with Manisha Puri, Vice President, Customer Experience and Head, Aditya Birla Health Insurance. Pradeep Nidamarthi, Vice President and Head, Digital, SBI Mutual Fund. Abhijit De, Vice President, Product Head, Digital, API Banking, Axis Bank. And Natarajan Bhaskaran, Global Head, DXP Business, TCS Interactive. May we request our panel to please come up in front for a group picture? And ladies and gentlemen, as we are having our group picture, let me remind you that we've got a feedback form which you've got to fill up. But again, that is with a scan. So just outside, we've got a QR code. Please scan the QR code, fill up the feedback form. Your feedback is very important for us. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.